General Motors Park.
Replay, and this week a tough show because Michigan came close but didn't get it done against the #1 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. The final score, Iowa 12, Michigan 10, and it was a great college football game. And it was one of those things that I characterized as looking for an adjective, but I think I'd just call it a struggle because that's what it was.
Well, it was for us, Jim. I thought the Michigan team played extremely hard. I'm proud of their effort. I think Iowa on this afternoon with Chuck Long and Ron Harmon just possessed the ball too much on us. We only had 8 possessions in the game. And I think the story of the game is between Long and Harmon. They converted on 13 out of 21 third down situations. And in our 8 possessions, we only converted on 2 out of 9. And that really is the key to the game. Our offense didn't possess the ball when we had a chance, and our defense allowed them too many plays.
But the defense still kept them out of the end zone. They didn't get a touchdown. It was 4 field goals to beat you. That was an effort I think you'd have liked walking into the game.
No question about it. You got to admire their tenacity. They just, they bend, but they don't break.
The first quarter was scoreless. There was that struggle again, offense, defense. And then in the second quarter, it appeared as though Iowa came out and said, okay, let's loosen things up a little bit, and Chuck Long went to work.
Right. The first quarter was kind of a sparring. This is a 3rd and short situation, and they lined Halverson up at the right halfback position and faked in the line and threw to him, which was a big play. Here's a 3rd and 8 here. Long rolls this way and throws back here for a first down to Happel.
They did some new things against you.
Yes, they did. They did a lot of different things, and this one, of course, didn't work. A little draw shovel in there, and Hammerstein diagnosed it. Here's a 3rd down and 12. Under pressure, Jeffrey Akers put some heat on him, but he got away from him, threw out here, and it appeared from the replay here that they might have scored a touchdown, and they didn't give it to him. This is very, very close. I don't know whether they figured his foot was off the ground. I can't tell you there or not.
The other thing that one official at least said might have been that he was bobbling the ball, didn't have possession
That
yet.
could have been true. He might have been bobbling the ball. But anyway, they ended up kicking a field goal to score the first points of the game here in the second period.
Biggest play of the season for your special teams, Jamie Morris on the kickoff return.
Right. He catches the ball here at the 10 and finds a crease up the middle and breaks the tackle here and gets it well down into Iowa territory. And Jim, this is the only possession that we had where we started on the short side or the long side of the 50. We always had it deep in our own territory. Here's a great run by Thomas Wilshire. May not get you a lot of yardage, but that's a tough back picking up some hard yards there. Jim goes back to pass here and hits Paul Jokic in the back of the end zone. This is close too, but I think they figured he was bobbling the ball and his feet weren't quite in, so that just goes into incompletion. 3rd down 10 here, throws over the middle to Paul. Paul breaks the tackle here and comes down, and Larry Station, their fine linebacker, grabbed, I think inadvertently, grabbed his face mask, and it gave us a first down on the 6, but here we are on 3rd down.
This was a big controversy here because the loud noise from the crowd wouldn't allow the audible to be called.
See, they really don't understand. I guess officials don't understand either that you cannot play football without communicating up there. Here we break a pass protection, and Jim runs out and shovels the ball to Gerald White for a touchdown, and that's really the only touchdown of the game.
And that was an invention, really, from Jim Harbaugh, wasn't it?
Right. Well, that was an improvisation. There's no question about that. We can't work on a play like that. Here's Long again, tremendously accurate passer, throwing to Harmon down the right sideline for a first down.
You were talking about he may be the best you've seen.
Well, let's put it this way. He's one of the most accurate passers I've seen. Every time he throws the ball, they have a chance of catching it. I think they were going to throw a running pass here, but he got under an awful lot of pressure here and was finally sacked. But I think that was supposed to be faking a sweep and throwing the ball. So they're forced to go to the field goal here. This is just before the half, Jim, and it's good. I think it's last play of the half, and we go in at halftime with a 1-point lead, 7-6.
You're leading 7-6 at that point. What was going through your mind? Because I get the feeling you didn't feel you were playing that well offensively, and you.
Well, the problem was I thought our defense was playing pretty well, and the offense just didn't have enough opportunities. We just didn't have the ball enough to really get into all the things we wanted to do. We never did. never did the entire day. As a matter of fact, we only ran 41 plays. They dominated possession time, 84-41.
Coming up is the second half and the crushing field goal with no time left, so stay with us on Michigan Replay.
It's going to hurt the team a little bit, but we're going to bounce back emotionally, definitely. It's going to bring us closer as a team.
Brings us closer together, I think. I think we're a close-knitted family now. We're all together. We know what we have to do to win, and we're going to win the rest of them.
The youngsters in the locker room after Iowa's victory over Michigan, and they're a resilient group.
Well, I'm not worried about that. They've been a tremendous group in that regard, and just because we lost this close game doesn't mean that we're going to fold our tent.
Getting back to the highlights, it didn't look like you were folding your tent in the second half either, because Chuck Long and Ronnie Harmon, really the offense, and Long's ability to hit receivers. And again, it's one of those things, they did things, but the receivers were open. And
yeah. Well, you know, we moved him around a lot, but he could, you know, he could get them. I mean, he's got a great arm, and
he throws off, you know, his back foot, he throws sidearm.
Anywhere you wanted to throw, he could do it. But here we get, we only had a three-man rush here, but Akers came off the backside and got him.
The defense really did. They didn't break against him.
No, they didn't break. They played very hard. But, you know, here's 3rd and 19. And you wouldn't expect that he would hit this ball right on the sideline for a first down. But they're an excellent, excellent passing team. And, of course, when you got a guy with an arm like that, you can really be a great third down team.
And a runner like Ronnie Harmon also.
Well, Harmon is outstanding. He's the best dodger in our league. He can dodge as well as anybody.
But the defense?
Here's the one mistake he made. Threw the ball over here, and Dieter Herron intercepted for us, and that stopped an Iowa drive.
You know, I thought at that point maybe, you know, that they'd get a little skittery, but they didn't. He's showed his veteran ability there.
They won't do that. You know, he's a 5th-year quarterback and 4-year starter. He knows what he's doing. But here's the draw plays. The draw plays, particularly with Harmon, where they kept hurting us at crucial times, where you can contain the pass a little bit, then he'd hit you with a draw, and then the passing game would open up again. Let's see, he moves around here and finds the fullback over the middle, who, of course, was not a primary receiver, but he dodged and moved around in there and got the ball to him. This is the 4th quarter, and they kicked the field goal to go ahead 9-7, Jim.
And again, the defense held. They wouldn't allow him in the end zone. You had to feel encouraged at that point.
Well, I did, because we mounted a drive right away. Bob Perriman came in and ran 17 yards on a play up the middle, and then we gave the ball to Jamie Morris, and he found a big hole in here and broke out for 23 yards and a first down, and we're in Iowa territory and moving. Unfortunately, we got a 5-yard penalty that I don't know the reason for, but anyway, we got one, and that hurt us. Here's a screen pass. We didn't get the guard out on the cornerback quick enough, and he supported very fast. And so we're forced to go to the field goal. Mike Gillette kicks it right down the middle, and we go ahead 10-9.
And there are only a couple of minutes left to play, and on this drive that Iowa has to actually win the game, there's so many opportunities for you to get it done, and this one is one of the big ones.
That's a big sack, and that sack would have kept them out of field goal range, and we started to think that we could get it and got him stopped. Now here's the big play. We took the ball then on a 3rd and 2. We missed a block on a linebacker, and they stop us, and that was crucial. Had we been able to do that. Here, everybody thought that would be an easy interception, but I think that the Iowa receiver grabbed Brad's arm right there at the last minute and pulled that ball out.
And that was one of those that almost was, but could have been.
Right. Here's a 3rd and long situation. They found a tight end over on the left side, just enough for a first down. A 3rd and 7 here. Once again, found a tight end. He seems to always come up with just the right pass to keep those drives going. Now he gives the ball to Harmon on a tailback draw, and there's a big hole in there, and he picks up good yardage. So this drive is down to where it's about stalled, and 2 seconds left, and they call timeout, and he kicks the field goal to win the game.
And Michigan loses to number 1 ranked Iowa 12-10, a game I know that you were frustrated and disappointed with. And yet again, I think you had to be pleased with the effort of the Michigan team.
Well, I think we're going to have to face the fact that in this league, you're going to have games like this. I'm not so sure that I think Iowa's a great team and deserving of their record and deserve to win the game against us, Jim. But they're going to come on some tough times, too. They have a tough schedule remaining, so do we. So do a lot of other teams in the league. I don't believe that any team with 1 loss is out of this race, not at all. And they're, of course, Minnesota and Iowa are the only 2 that are undefeated, but they all have to play Ohio State, they have to play Michigan. They have some tough games remaining.
When you look down the schedule, you look at Iowa, after you've seen them and played them, defensively they played well against you. How much of it was the Iowa defense, or how much of it was the fact that Michigan offense didn't play that well?
I think the possession of the football by the Iowa offense was the key to the game. I also feel that we could have done a better job offensively. Although we didn't have many opportunities, we still, when the chips were down and we had the ball and we stopped them, we ran 3 plays and punted. And you can't do that against a team that has shown that they can move the ball as well as Iowa did.
And you talk about Long, and Long's a good one, but Harmon's the key, isn't he? Because he can do so many things. They line him at wingback, they line him at tailback, they line him at wide receiver. They do everything.
Let's put it this way. If you had the defense just Long, you could probably do a fairly decent job. Or if you just had the defense Harmon in an offense, you could probably do a pretty decent job. But when both of them are in the same offense, I say that's tough. They're 2 of the great football players in the country today. They're 2 of the finest players in our league by far. And we just have to give them credit. We have to give them credit for the fact that they beat us.
Coming up on Michigan Replay, a story about movement from one spot to another. It's not as easy as it sounds. Stay with us. Out of the end zone. They didn't get a touchdown. It was 4 field goals that beat you. That was an effort I think you'd have liked walking into the game.
No question about it. You got to admire their tenacity. They just, they bend, but they don't break.
The first quarter was scoreless. There was that struggle again, offense, defense. And then in the second quarter, it appeared as though Iowa came out and said, okay, let's loosen things.
And I think the story of the game is between Long and Harmon. They converted on 13 out of 21 third down situations. And in our 8 possessions, we only converted on 2 out of 9. And that really is the key to the game. Our offense didn't possess the ball when we had a chance, and our defense allowed them too many plays.
But the defense still kept things up a little bit, and Chuck Long went to work.
Right. The first quarter was kind of a sparring. This is a 3rd and short situation, and they lined Halverson up at the right halfback position and faked in the line and threw to him, which was a big play. Here's a 3rd and 8 here. Long rolls this way and throws back here for a first down.
General Motors
Replay, and this week a tough show because Michigan came close but didn't get it done against the number 1 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. The final score, Iowa 12, Michigan 10, and it was a great college football game. And it was one of those things that I characterized as looking for an adjective, but I think I'd just call it a struggle because that's what it was.
Well, it was for us, Jim. I thought the Michigan team played extremely hard. I'm proud of their effort. I think Iowa on this afternoon with Chuck Long and Ron Harmon just possessed the ball too much on us. We only had 8 possessions in the game.